Hi there, my name is Jonathan Metters and I go by Ibercane on the internet, and this is Europa Explorer. I've been working on it for a bit and I want to show off where I am right now. The concept is to make a non-violent exploration game inspired by science. You, as the player, are the AI in control of the robotic probe that is exploring the ocean on the moon Europa. You can kind of think of it as driving your Curiosity rover, only you're underwater. I want to start by talking about the movement controls and how everything works. It's a fly-by-wire system. The original idea was to do a solar jetman type thing, but it just turned out to be a lot easier to push the direction you want to go. So we have W, S, A, and D that gives us movement controls, up, down, left, and right. You can see the activity with the thrusters going in the different directions. In the top left, you see the movement widget. The cross in the middle indicates your velocity and direction of movement. The top is a hash mark showing your spin rate, so you also have control over the orientation of the vehicle. You can see the thruster activity there, and the Z button toggles hover mode. That just kind of arrests all movement, turns on all the thrusters. Mainly want to use this video to talk about what we can do and how we interact with the environment. I want to show off all the different science tools that I've made so far. The top group here is the secondary tools. Currently navigation camera selected, that's this activity you see going on. Kind of like the optical vision that you can see in your local area. I played around with several different ways of doing this, like pulses or just having it always on, and I've settled on this. I like this look the best. The second tool is sonar mapping. So we activate sonar mapping, it sent out a pulse, and the pulse bits come back. So you can see on the minimap, it's filling in. I guess the minimap kind of represents the data we're collecting from the sonar. And you can see there's stuff around us. The little purple dot is us. It cycles. You see it shoots out a pulse, and then we have to wait for it to come back around, and it'll do another one. The downside is you can't move a lot when you're using it. You'll get out of the range of the rebound pulses. Third tool is a laser probe, so we need something to laser. So we're going to move up on the screen and look for the terrain. And we almost ran into it. So we can right click again, and it gives us like 3 little laser pulses, and it tells us what the temperature is at that particular spot. You have a scale here. All these are the vision modes in the game. The first one is the optical mode. You can switch between these manually by holding shift and wheeling the mouse. You can see blue is very cold, and then it gets warmer as it goes up. So the fourth mode is radiation sensor. You can see whenever you activate these, some of them have little doodads here that open up or close or do different stuff. I've worked on like the first pass of the animations and artwork for the vehicle. I'm pretty happy with where it's at right now, but I still have more things I want to do. Radiation sensor works a lot different than anything else. It shows you the direction of radiation from your point of view, or the point of view of the sensor. So blue is kind of higher up on the scale, and so we can see that there's something close here and something over there, but it's not picking up anything down here, and it's relative to where you're at. So if we go down, you can see, even though we know that's a blue strength signal, as we get further away from it, the radiation's less intense. It only saves radiation that actually hits the ground tiles, so the ones out in the open get wiped out. I was leaving the ones out in the open, but it was just too much. So that's the 4 secondary tools. The primary tools, let's start with the first one is your optical camera. And that's this little bit sticking out on the front of the vehicle here. So there's a shield here that's protecting all the important science tools. And when the shield's closed, you can have the optical camera operating. We have like a little flash deal that shows. We can have different modes on it. You wheel your mouse to change different modes, and then the regular number keys switch between the primary tools. So this is number 1, and we can wheel the mouse and do the most focused, longest distance vision. We can see terrain up there. So it's only forward vision. So you can't click behind you. It just gives you an error message. So we can use it and we see stuff over here, terrain. The second tool is hand lens tool. So this is straight from the Curiosity rover It's kind of how you can detect geology and mineralogy of a spot. So it has 3 modes. The first mode is the macro lens, which is like the larger overall of the terrain. You get close to somewhere, you can click it. It'll give you a general idea of what the geology is. So like this is kind of, I'm thinking like the intro area, it's going to be largely ice. So, we have ice and a little bit of other bits stuck in there. Second mode is the micro lens, so that will break down a more detailed view. You can see this color range is oxides. The brighter the color, the more it's just that, not other impurities. So you see mainly, since this is ice, it's mainly oxides. There's another concept here. So if you look at like the temperature mode, it's a flat color. But if you go to some of these other modes, it's got a brown overlay, and that's the debris. So you can clean the debris with this little tool that we created. They'll make it easier to see what's going on there. So the next tool is a laser spectrometer. So it has 3 options also. The primary thing is perform scan. If we scan an area that we don't know the geology information on, the scan will never actually complete. So the general idea here is that as you scan a spot, you collect data. Once you pass the data threshold, it turns green and it says you can see the result. We scan that a couple times, it gives us results. We switch the modes to the check results mode, and we click the spot, and then we get a spectrograph. It's just randomized right now, but I'll be able to use it later on to do other stuff. We can see the others are different, and then we go back to the first one. It's the same. So it saves the results, and you can come back to them. The third mode is clear debris also, so you can do it at a much greater range. Next tool, the fourth tool, is the X-ray spectrometer. It's similar to the laser one in the way it works, but you have to be grappled. Grappling is little black bars here. It's robotic arms that can grab onto the surface. We switch the mode to the wide mode, and it'll check a big section of the surface. And it works the same as the laser. You can't complete the data part of the scan unless you have the basic geology information. You zap the surface a little bit to see the geology information, and then the scan will complete. Now I've set up a terrain feature in this spot that has a lot of organic stuff. So we can see we get some green here. But if we move over to the other spot we were scanning, see the data portion is completing, but there's nothing there. It's a low concentration, so you're not getting any organics, anything. And then you can check the results of these. You get the same thing as randomized. The other mode is a narrow field. You can see deeper into the surface with it, but since you can't get the geology data, you won't be able to complete those scans. So we introduced the fifth tool, which is the ground penetrating radar. Much like you search for stuff here on Earth, with the ground penetrating radar, we can use it to see the density of the materials under the ground. And so I set up a terrain feature here that shows something, so there's something interesting in that spot. You just have to figure out what it is using the other tools. So we can check over here. This one didn't set up any density attached to it, so you're not getting anything. And you see how the tool extends based on how far away the actual terrain is. Originally, that's all I was going to do with the ground penetrating radar, but as I kept working on it, I come up with other ideas. So we got ground penetrating temperature sensor. Not sure how realistic that's going to be, but the game is going to be set 40 years in the future, so somebody might figure that out. And then we're going to have ground penetrating geology mineralogy sensor. And do that, and then we can complete the scan that goes partially under the ground. So you can see it completes, but there's no concentration, there's nothing there. The last set of tools is the sample collection tool. The first mode is just clear debris. So we can drill a surface sample. We go over here to where we have the geology detected. This tool also will give you a warning. It'll say you need basic mineralogy data before you can go drilling on stuff. So we can drill a spot, does a little animation, gives us a sample. And the sample is based on whatever specific spot you clicked on. So if you see something out of place in a particular area, you can take a sample of that specific spot. And we can also do a pore sample. So we can go and get a kind of sample from down here where we might have seen something interesting. We can grab surface samples is another tool. So like I set these two little features up here. I don't know, if we go up to the optical mode, it's kind of like a glowing mass of something growing on the ground. We use the grab surface sample feature, and we can grab a piece of it. It's a little bit different, but it adds it to our collection. So you can save 10 surface samples or 10 samples of something. We can go over, we can try to grab a sample of this. Yep, we can see we try to grab something and there's nothing there. It doesn't grab anything. And the last mode is collect material. Materials is separate. You think of it as like big chunks of rock. I set up 3 little gem things here that you can pick up. You collect them off the surface, they get stored away inside your probe, and then you'll be able to do something with them later. That's the basic idea of how all the different tools work, and you can see the graphic style I'm going for. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Next time I come back, I'm going to talk about the rest of the probe systems. You have a power generation with an RTG, you have a heat control, you'll be able to spin the turbines faster or slower to affect your power usage. You have a buoyancy system like a submarine that you'll be able to recharge with the gases that you generate on your home base. Please check out the website and join the Discord. I will be running beta tests at some point, and I'm going to do all that through the Discord server. I'm also going to do the background music for the game. You can see some samples or listen to some samples of that on the SoundCloud playlist I set up. Get a kind of idea of where I'm going with that. So till I see you.